The camera fades in on a dimly lit room filled with aging equipment. The sound of a worn-out turntable needle crackling fills the silence. The only light is from the soft glow of the on-air sign above the door, buzzing faintly as it flickers. A worn chair creaks under the weight of a man sitting at a desk cluttered with papers, an old coffee cup, and a vintage microphone. Calm, reflective tone. "My name's Fred. 28 years old. And I work at a college radio station that's been running since the 70s. Not a big deal. Just a job, you know. I'm a part-time teacher too, communications department. I show students how to hold a camera without shaking, how to angle the light so it doesn't bounce off their forehead. The basics. The stuff they should have learned by now. Most of them still can't sit up straight when the camera's on them." Pauses, chuckles softly. "It's not glamorous, but it's mine. The hours are strange, but they're steady." He leans back in his chair, the fabric of his flannel shirt rustling as he adjusts his posture. The room is quiet, save for the soft hum of the old equipment. "I'm not full-time faculty, not anything fancy. I don't wear ties. Jeans and a hoodie, mostly. Sometimes I throw on the station's old logo, faded and peeling, the kind the kids think is retro, but it's not. It's just old." Sighs, leaning forward. "I didn't plan on ending up here, really. After college, I was in that weird limbo time, too old to be a student but still too young to figure out what the hell I wanted to do. I took odd jobs, a few gigs, things that don't look good on a resume but pay enough to keep the lights on. The station was one of those things. Thought I'd run it for a semester, maybe two." He gazes at the on-air sign, the faint hum now almost a presence in the room. He reaches for the mug next to him, taking a sip from the cold coffee, his fingers stained with ink from the pen he'd been absent-mindedly tapping earlier. "That was 4 years ago. Now, I've got keys to 3 different rooms, a parking spot, technically marked, visitor, and a fridge with a drawer labeled Fred, do not touch. Everyone touches it anyway. It's not a glamorous life. But it's mine." Pauses, chuckles softly to himself. "I've gotten used to the rhythm. The late nights. The weird students who come in all full of energy and ideas, then fade out by mid-semester. They're all the same, shiny eyes and notebooks they'll stop using after the 3rd week. I teach them how to sit behind a desk, how to talk into a mic. I let them pretend to read fake news from fake teleprompters. And they eat it up." His tone shifts, becoming slightly more reflective, quieter. "I love it though. I love the way the mic feels when it's warm, after an hour of talking. The smell of the old carpet in the booth. The buzz of the room. I love the blinking red light above the door, even if it flickers sometimes. Something about it all, old and worn, like everything else in this station." He leans back again, his gaze distant as if he's lost in thought. "It's not glamorous, but it's steady. I get weekends off. And we don't do summer classes, so I get 3 months every year to do nothing. I tell people I use that time to work on music. Truth is, I just sleep. Take the same long walk every morning to the same corner store where the same guy asks me if I want my usual. And yeah, I do. I always do." Pauses, his voice drops a little, a touch of something heavier. "There's a rhythm to this place. A slow, easy beat that never changes. But maybe that's the problem. Maybe I'm getting stuck in it. The same old routine. The same faces. The same routines." He stops talking for a moment, taking a long, slow breath. The on-air light flickers again. Fred glances at it, watching as it hums with an old, half-dead rhythm. But lately, things don't feel quite right. The sound of an old record spinning echoes in the room, the scratch of the needle filling the silence. A distant creak from the hallway. For a moment, Fred's eyes dart toward the door. He stands up, walking over to it and looking out into the dark hallway beyond. It's empty. There's something about this place, this station, something off. Pauses, his voice drops, almost to a whisper. Maybe it's just me. Or maybe, it's time to face whatever's been waiting here. The camera lingers on the dim light from the on-air sign before fading to black. The camera opens to Fred sitting at the desk in the old booth, adjusting the microphone. The room is quiet, too quiet. The familiar hum of the equipment is soothing, but there's an unease in the air that Fred can't quite shake off. The on-air sign above him flickers once, its light blinking as if it's fighting to stay on. Calm, yet uneasy. It's the same every night. I get in here, set everything up, start the show. The usual. But lately, something's off. Fred taps the microphone, adjusting the sound levels. As he does, a flicker of light catches his eye. The on-air sign blinks once, longer than usual, before settling back into its steady glow. He frowns, but dismisses it. Half to himself. Could just be the wiring. Old place. Nothing more to it. He picks up his coffee mug, taking a sip, trying to focus on the next track. The faint sound of whispers floats in the air, a low, unintelligible hum that comes and goes so quickly Fred thinks it's just his mind playing tricks. But it's there again, almost like someone speaking softly just outside the booth. Muttering. Probably just the air conditioning. Too many wires in this old building. He leans back, reaching for the record player, setting the next track. As he does, a cold breeze sweeps across his arm, sending a chill through his body. He shivers, but there's no open window. The air conditioning is set low, but not enough to explain the sudden drop in temperature. Attempting to reason, voice tight. Cold spots. That's all it is. Just, old pipes, old wires, old building. I'm just tired. That's all. Fred shakes his head, forcing himself to focus on the turntable. He starts the next song, but the whispers return, louder this time. He looks toward the door of the booth. The hallway outside is empty, yet the sense of being watched grows. Fred stands up abruptly, walking to the door and peering out into the dark hallway. The flicker of a distant light in the hallway catches his attention, then, just as quickly, it vanishes. He blinks, and the hallway is empty again. A fleeting moment. Yet, it's enough to make his stomach twist with unease. Fred. To himself, quieter now. It's nothing. Just shadows. Maybe someone walking by. He takes a deep breath and heads back to the desk, his fingers brushing the stack of papers. One of the papers shifts, just barely, caused by a draft, perhaps, but Fred notices it. There's something unnerving about it, a feeling like the room itself is holding its breath, waiting. He sits back down, his heart racing now, the atmosphere growing heavier. He reaches for the station rulebook out of habit, flipping through the pages in an attempt to ground himself in the familiar. Then, his eyes fall on a new note tacked to the page, written in sharp, bold ink. Reading aloud, confused. Never leave the building at night. Fred stares at the note. He doesn't remember seeing it before. It feels off. Like it's been there for longer than he can remember. He flips through the rulebook again, but there's no mention of it anywhere else. Irritated, dismissing it. It's probably some joke. Maybe someone else added it. He continues flipping through the book, but the sense of unease only grows. The air feels heavier now, and the whispers, louder, seem to vibrate through the walls. Fred jumps, his eyes darting toward the window in the booth, where the faint glow of the graveyard is visible through the cracked blinds. Voice shaking slightly. "All right, Fred. You're imagining things." He forces a chuckle, but it's hollow. The temperature drops again, and Fred notices the flickering lights once more, this time, more persistent. The whispers are louder now, distinctly human voices talking over one another. Fred's hand trembles as he adjusts the volume control, the noise only amplifying. He looks toward the door again, but this time, he doesn't move. He stays frozen, staring out into the hallway. Everything feels wrong. Something deep inside him knows this isn't just stress. This is real. There's something hiding in this building, and it's not human. The on-air sign flickers again, but this time it doesn't stop. It buzzes loudly, the electric hum growing louder and louder until it's almost deafening. Desperately, to himself. This isn't me. This isn't normal. He stands up abruptly, pacing the small booth. His hands grip the edge of the desk as he looks toward the door again. The whispers are louder now, almost demanding his attention. Calm but with growing dread. Something's here. Something ancient. Fred walks to the door again, his hand resting on the handle. For the first time, he feels that sinking pit of fear in his stomach. The station, it isn't just a place. It's something more. And it doesn't want him to leave. Quiet, yet determined. I need to stay. I need to find out what this place really is. The camera opens in the familiar, dimly lit booth. Fred sits at his desk, staring at the vinyl records scattered across the surface. The low hum of the equipment fills the room. It's late, well past the usual hours, and the air feels heavier tonight, more oppressive. The on-air sign above the door flickers, and a cold breeze swirls through the room, despite there being no open windows. Fred shifts in his seat, rubbing his eyes, trying to shake the weariness of the long shift. Quietly, tired but growing unease. You get used to the silence here, you know? The long nights. The weird, quiet hum of everything. The way it fills your head. But tonight, it feels different. Something's off. He grabs a cup of coffee, but the smell is different, stale. He takes a sip, grimacing at the taste. As he sets the cup down, something moves in the corner of his eye. Fred freezes for a second, unsure if it's just his tiredness or something else. The whispers start again, soft at first, like a faint breathing behind the wall. He looks around, trying to pinpoint the source, but there's nothing. The whispers grow louder, clearer now, as if someone is speaking just behind the glass. Fred stands up abruptly, his breath shallow. Fred. Half joking, half anxious. Probably just the AC. It's always doing weird things. He walks toward the window between the control room and the booth, peering into the hallway. It's empty, like it always is. Just the dim light reflecting off the walls. Fred sighs in relief, turning back to his desk. As he does, the whispers intensify, becoming sharper, more insistent. He spins around, eyes wide. Fred. More desperate now, to himself. Okay, this is getting ridiculous. You're just tired. It's nothing. But then, it happens. The lights flicker violently, the buzzing of the on-air sign growing louder, almost as if it's warning him. The shadows in the corners of the room seem to shift, flickering in unnatural patterns. A cold gust sweeps through the room again, and Fred's breath catches in his throat. Suddenly, the door to the control room creaks open. Fred freezes. The air feels thick, like something is pressed up against him. The sudden cold in the room deepens as the door creaks open wider, even though it had been securely locked moments ago. His pulse quickens. Anxiety rising, breath shallow. This can't be real. It's just a draft. Nothing more. He steps toward the door slowly, reluctant to face what might be on the other side. As he reaches for the handle, a shadow crosses the threshold, just a flicker, but enough to make Fred stop dead in his tracks. In a whisper, shaken. Okay, I'm not imagining things anymore. Fred opens the door with hesitation, but there's no one there. Just the empty hallway, silent and still. But then, from the darkness, a low growl emerges, one that feels like it's coming from the very walls themselves. Fred's heart races as the growl grows louder, closer. He stumbles backward, hitting the side of the desk. The growl stops. A sudden silence envelopes the room. Fred looks around, his mind racing, trying to make sense of what's happening. Fred, terrified, muttering to himself. What the hell was that? Who's there? The room falls into an eerie stillness. Then, from the far corner of the booth, something moves, a dark, shadowy figure, flickering in and out of sight. Fred's eyes widen, and he reaches instinctively for the phone, but it's already gone. The line is dead. He can't reach out. He's alone. The shadow moves again, this time, it's more defined. A tall figure, hunched and warped, with long limbs that move in unnatural ways. Fred's body locks up, frozen in place. He can barely breathe. The creature hisses softly, almost as if it's testing him. Whispering, voice shaking. This isn't real. This isn't happening. He backs up into the corner of the booth, shaking his head, but the creature is getting closer. It seems to sense his fear, its presence becoming heavier, like the very air is thickening around him. The creature tilts its head, and for the first time, Fred sees its eyes, glowing faintly in the darkness. Fred opens his mouth to speak, but his voice is caught in his throat. He can't move. The creature cocks its head again, its eyes narrowing in recognition, as if it's sizing him up. Barely a whisper, to himself. I'm not losing my mind. This is real. It has to be. He gathers his strength, finally taking a step back. As he does, the creature hisses, an angry sound that echoes through the room, and the lights flicker violently again. The on-air sign buzzes and blinks out completely. Fred stumbles toward the door, trying to keep his distance, but the creature moves faster, its elongated limb stretching out toward him, its form now becoming solid, no longer a shadow. Growing desperate. This can't be real. What the hell is this thing? He reaches for the door handle, but it won't budge. The creature is almost upon him. In a moment of panic, Fred shoves against the door with all his strength, finally breaking through into the hallway. The creature screeches, its eerie cry echoing through the empty station as Fred slams the door shut behind him. Gasping for air, almost in disbelief. This isn't real. It can't be. He leans against the door, trying to steady his breath. The hallway is silent again, as if nothing happened. But deep down, Fred knows this is just the beginning. Whispering, horrified. What the hell is happening? The camera opens on Fred sitting at his desk, staring into the void of the empty hallway through the booth window. His fingers are trembling as they hover over the microphone. The echo of his last encounter with the creature lingers in his mind, like a dark shadow. He picks up the station rulebook, the weight of the book unfamiliar in his hands. He had seen it before, but tonight, it feels different. The dim light from the flickering on-air sign casts long shadows across the desk, and the stillness of the station amplifies the tension in the air. Calm, but strained. I don't know what's real anymore. I've seen things, heard things, that don't belong here. I've tried to explain it away. The cold spots, the flickering lights, the whispers. But tonight, it feels different. This isn't just some coincidence. He opens the rulebook, flipping through pages filled with the standard station policies, music logs, equipment handling, and general guidelines for running the radio. But as his fingers trace the pages, they fall upon something new, something out of place. Handwritten notes in the margins. The ink is faded but legible. Fred stops, his breath caught in his throat. Whispering to himself, confused. What the hell is this? He leans in, his fingers tracing the inked words as if afraid to read them out loud. The first rule stands out, stark and simple. Fred. Reading aloud, voice shaky. Rule 1, never leave the building during your shift. His gaze shifts to the other handwritten rules, each one stranger than the last. Intrigued yet unsettled. What does that mean? Who wrote this? He reads the next one. Fred. Rule 2, keep the airwaves full. Never leave dead air. His heart starts to race, a sinking feeling creeping into his stomach. He flips to the next page. There's more. Fred. Reading aloud, slowly. Rule 3, never answer the phone after midnight. The dead call. Fred freezes. His eyes widen as he recalls the phone call from the woman, Mary Glass. He'd dismissed it before, but now, with the rule in front of him, the weight of the situation begins to sink in. He turns the page again. Fred. Reading aloud with mounting horror. Rule 4, always leave a cup of coffee by the door. It keeps the spirits at bay. Fred's hand shakes as he turns the page. These rules, rituals, more like it, are written in a way that feels almost ritualistic. Each one is more bizarre than the last. And yet, Fred can't deny the connection between the things he's experienced and these rules. Almost breathless. This doesn't make sense. But it feels like it's all connected. It has to be. Fred turns to the next page, his mind racing. He glances at the clock, it's well past midnight. His breath catches as he reads the final rule. Fred. Rule 5, ignore Station 7. Do not engage with it. Its calls are dangerous. Fred stares at the page for a long time. The mystery of Station 7, the strange phone calls, everything clicks into place. But then, a deep sense of dread settles over him. These rules, these aren't just station policies. They're survival tactics, written in the margins of the station rulebook. The air feels thicker now, oppressive, as if the walls are closing in. Suddenly, the lights flicker violently again, the on-air sign buzzing loudly. Fred's heart skips a beat. He can't ignore it any longer. Voice trembling. No. I have to follow them. But what happens if I don't? He closes the rulebook, his mind racing. He hears a faint whisper again, this time much clearer. It's coming from inside the booth. He glances around, but the room is empty. His skin prickles. The whisper is followed by a cold breath on his neck, and then the phone rings, its red light blinking at him. Fred hesitates, staring at the phone. Fear rising. Don't answer it. Rule 3. I can't. I won't. The phone keeps ringing, its shrill tone cutting through the silence, louder and more insistent with every second. Fred stands frozen, the weight of the rules pressing down on him. But then, something inside him snaps. He reaches for the phone, his hand trembling. Fred. Nervously, almost apologetically to himself. It's just a call. It's probably nothing. He picks up the receiver. The moment he does, the room grows colder. The lights flicker again. The whispers return, now louder, almost deafening. The voice on the other end is calm, polite, eerily so. Woman, OS. Soft, almost distant. Hello, Fred. Could you play Just the Way You Are by Billy Joel? That was our wedding song. Me and my husband's. Fred. Voice shaking, confused. Who is this? Woman, OS. Calmly, but with a sense of nostalgia. August 9th, 1979. It was our special day. Fred's blood runs cold as the voice continues, repeating the same phrases. The date. The song. The same calm tone. Fred's heart races as he pulls the phone away, staring at the receiver in his hand. His head is spinning. Fred. Whispering, horrified. This is the woman from the calls. Mary Glass. She's dead. The phone in his hand clicks off, the line going dead. Fred stares at the receiver, his mind racing. He drops the phone in a daze. The whispers grow louder now, as if the room itself is filled with voices, and Fred knows now, this is no accident. This is bigger than him. The station is alive with something far darker than he ever imagined. He stands there, shaking, as the on-air sign buzzes louder, and for the first time, Fred understands, he's not just working a late shift anymore. He's trapped in something much more dangerous. The rules are real. And breaking them could cost him more than just his sanity. The camera opens with Fred navigating through a thick, tangled forest, moonlight filtering through the trees, casting long shadows. His breath is heavy, the air thick with tension. The sound of rustling leaves and distant snapping twigs is all he can hear. He's been tracking the creature for hours, through an isolated wilderness far from the safety of the station, and it's clear that he's not just hunting for answers anymore, he's hunting for survival. Fred's heart pounds in his chest as he pushes through the underbrush, sweat dripping down his forehead. He pauses, scanning the area. There's no sign of the creature, but something feels off. The air is too still. Strained, breathless. I've been chasing it for hours. It's close. I can feel it. But it's always one step ahead. He checks his gear, adjusting the straps of his pack, his fingers trembling slightly as he grips the flare gun tightly in his hand. His eyes dart between the trees, trying to catch any movement. Then, a twig snaps loudly behind him. He spins around, nothing. Just the trees and the stillness. Fred. Under his breath, frustrated. Damn it. It's toying with me. He takes a deep breath and continues forward, every step calculated, every sound analyzed. But the creature's trail is faint, almost as if it's deliberately trying to cover its tracks. Fred reaches a clearing, and in the moonlight, he sees something, large footprints, freshly made in the mud, too big to be human. Fred. Whispering to himself. That's it. I'm getting closer. He follows the trail, each step heavier than the last. Suddenly, a sound, a low, guttural growl, breaks the silence. Fred stops dead in his tracks. His eyes widen. The growl seems to come from all around him. He can't pinpoint the source. Whispering to himself, tense. It's here. It knows I'm here. Fred carefully reaches for his flare gun, his fingers trembling as he loads it. He moves forward, step by step, each one making the dry leaves underfoot crunch. Suddenly, a branch snaps behind him. He whips around, raising the gun, nothing. Voice shaky, self-doubt creeping in. Am I losing my mind? I should have waited for backup. He shakes his head, pushing those thoughts aside. There's no turning back now. The creature has to be close. He can feel its presence, like a shadow watching from the trees. His instincts are on high alert. EXT, abandoned cabin, night. Fred arrives at an abandoned cabin deep in the forest, the wood creaking in the wind. The door swings slightly, as if inviting him inside. He steps cautiously onto the porch, glancing around. The trail leads to this cabin. This is where the creature must have gone. He pushes the door open with a creak, stepping inside. The air is thick with dust, the floorboards rotting under his weight. He carefully steps further into the room, every movement slow and deliberate. Suddenly, the door slams shut behind him, trapping him inside. The sound echoes like a warning. Panicked, voice rising. What the hell was that? Fred spins around, but there's no one there. Then, scratching sounds, like claws on wood, come from upstairs. Fred raises his gun, his pulse racing. The creature is close. Forcefully, to himself. Focus. Don't let it get in your head. He takes the stairs 2 at a time, each creak of the floorboards like a warning. At the top of the stairs, the door to a room is ajar. Fred inches toward it, peering inside. The room is empty, but the smell of rotting flesh hangs in the air. The window is wide open. And then, movement catches his eye. Something dark and fast darts across the room, disappearing through the open window. Fred leaps into action, running toward the window and aiming his flare gun. But before he can fire, the creature is gone, vanishing into the night. Frustrated, angry. Damn it, stop running. He climbs out the window and leaps to the ground below, his legs aching from the constant pursuit. The creature is always ahead, always staying just out of reach. EXT, forest, night. Fred runs through the forest now, panic setting in. The creature is too fast. It's anticipating his every move, staying just ahead of him. Branches snap under his boots as he pushes through the woods. His body is exhausted, but his mind is sharp, too sharp. Something isn't right. The creature is too smart, too calculated. Suddenly, Fred stumbles over a root, falling forward onto the ground. He lands hard, pain shooting through his body. As he tries to get back up, he hears it, a low growl from behind him. He turns around quickly, raising the flare gun again. Desperate, voice trembling. Please. Just, stop. The creature appears in the moonlight, glaring at him. It's no longer a mere animal, but something far more intelligent, its eyes gleam with malice. Fred realizes, for the first time, that he is not in control. The creature outsmarts him, its long claws scratching at the earth as it moves. Fred. Breathless, defeated. I can't keep up. Fred stumbles back, but the creature doesn't approach. It stops, watching him. Fred's breath is erratic now, the self-doubt creeping in. His confidence wanes as he realizes the truth, the creature is toying with him, waiting for him to make a move. Internal struggle, voice quiet. Am I becoming weaker? Is this really happening? Int. Radio station, later. Fred stumbles back into the radio station, sweat dripping down his face. The flare gun is still in his hand, but his body is exhausted. His clothes are torn, and his breath is shallow. He leans against the wall, his mind racing. Exhausted, but determined. No. I can't stop now. This thing's just getting started. It's smart. But I'll outsmart it. He takes a deep breath, his resolve hardening. He's lost a battle, but not the war. Not yet. The scene opens with Fred, panting heavily, standing before the entrance to an ancient stone temple hidden deep within a craggy mountain range. The air is thick with mist, swirling around the jagged rocks like unnatural fog. The full moon casts an eerie light across the darkened landscape. Fred's eyes are locked on the entrance, a dilapidated stone door with ancient symbols carved into its surface. He can feel the weight of everything he's been through weighing on him, but there's no turning back. Behind the door, the ritual is nearly complete. The creature is there, waiting. So is the cult leader. The sound of distant chants echoes from within the lair, growing louder as Fred approaches. Heavy, strained. I've come too far to back down now. It ends tonight. One way or another. Fred steps toward the door, his heart pounding in his chest. He reaches for the handle, but before he can pull it open, a sudden voice from behind stops him. Cult leader, OS. Low, calm, but threatening. You're too late. Fred whips around, raising his flare gun, his eyes locked onto the cult leader standing a few feet away. The cult leader's face is hidden beneath a hood, but Fred can feel the malevolent energy radiating from them. The cult leader smiles knowingly, stepping closer. The air grows heavier, the chanting inside the lair intensifying. Fred's breath quickens as he realizes something. This isn't just any cult leader. There's something familiar about them. Fred. Voice tight, shaking. Who the hell are you? The cult leader steps into the light, their face finally revealed. Fred's blood runs cold as he recognizes them. It's his uncle, the man who taught him everything he knew about the supernatural. The man who disappeared from his life years ago. The man who Fred believed had been killed by the same creatures he's been hunting. Fred. Disbelief, voice cracking. Uncle. Ed? Smiling, but it's a twisted, sinister grin. I see you've finally figured it out. It's been a long time, hasn't it, Fred? All these years, you thought I was dead, but I've been here. I've been watching. Preparing for this moment. Fred stands frozen, his mind racing. His uncle, the man he trusted, the man who was supposed to guide him, has become a traitor. The realization hits like a punch to the gut. Fred. Voice filled with anger and confusion. You, how could you? After everything, you're part of this madness? Calmly, almost pityingly. Madness? No, Fred. This is evolution. The world is changing. The creatures are evolving. And so are we. You could be part of it. You could join us, bring about a new world where we control the supernatural, where we control the future. Fred takes a step back, his grip tightening on the flare gun. His emotions churn. Betrayal and confusion swirl inside him. Internal conflict, voice shaky. I can't believe this. He's the one who betrayed me. He's the one who's been behind it all. Suddenly, a low growl rumbles from the shadows of the lair. Fred's gaze snaps to the creature standing in the center of the room, its form looming larger and more menacing than before. The creature is mutating, its claws elongated, its eyes glowing with an eerie, unnatural light. It's stronger, more intelligent, and more dangerous than ever. Voice rising in fervor. This is the future, Fred. This is what we've been waiting for. The creatures will reign, and we will control them. You don't have to fight it. Join me, and we can evolve together. You're a part of this destiny. Fred's breath catches. He can hear the chanting growing louder inside the lair. The ritual is almost complete. But Fred feels something in his gut, the pull of revenge versus the need to stop the ritual. He looks at his uncle, the man who's betrayed him. Deep breath, determination building. No. This ends now. It ends tonight. Fred raises the flare gun, aiming at the creature. The cult leader steps in front of the creature, arms outstretched as if to protect it. The creature snarls, its eyes locking onto Fred. Calmly, almost smug. You don't understand, do you? This is bigger than you, Fred. This is about survival. About control. Fred hesitates for a moment, his mind racing with everything he's learned, everything he's been through. The need for revenge, for justice for his uncle, clashes with his growing realization that he must stop the ritual to save the world from a future of monsters ruling over humanity. Determined. No more running. This ends now. With a swift motion, Fred fires the flare gun, striking the creature directly in its chest. The flame ignites upon impact, causing the creature to roar in pain. The creature's form shifts violently, writhing as it's consumed by the flame. It thrashes, trying to escape the blaze, but its movements grow slower and weaker. Shocked, furious. What have you done? Fred steps forward, his face hardening as he faces his uncle. The betrayal is palpable, but so is the resolve in his heart. Fred. Quietly, but with absolute certainty. I stopped it. Fred fires another flare, hitting the ritual circle in the center of the room. The ritual begins to unravel, the magic dissipating as the symbols burn away. Fred takes a step toward his uncle. Reflective, voice heavy. He was my family. My mentor. And now, I'm the one who has to stop this. The ritual is destroyed. The creature screeches, disintegrating into nothing but ash and smoke. Fred looks at his uncle, who's now kneeling on the floor, defeated. Weakly, defeated. You don't understand. This was for you. This was for us. Fred. Coldly, walking away. No, it wasn't. It was for you. Fred turns his back on his uncle, walking away from the chaos. The station, the creatures, and his own legacy will haunt him forever, but tonight, he made the choice. The right one. Int. Radio station, later. Fred returns to the radio station, walking through the empty hallways, bruised and exhausted. His hands still shake slightly as he passes the booth. The lights flicker, but he doesn't stop. He doesn't hesitate. Quietly, reflecting. The creatures are still out there. They're evolving. And one day, they'll come again. But for now, it's over. Fred takes a deep breath, a heavy silence filling the room. He's done. But the fight isn't over. Determined, resolute. And when they do come, I'll be ready. The camera opens on Fred, sitting alone in the booth. The hum of old equipment fills the air as the clock ticks toward midnight. The room is dimly lit by the soft glow of the on-air sign, which flickers intermittently. It's quiet now, quieter than usual. The station feels almost deserted, but Fred is still here, staring at the records on the turntable, the needles moving slowly across the vinyl. Reflective, somber tone. For years of strange noises, cursed rituals, and creatures I still don't fully understand. Sometimes, I wonder if it's worth it. Fred leans back in his chair, rubbing his eyes. He's exhausted, physically and mentally. The last few days have been a blur, battling the creature, stopping the ritual, facing his uncle. The weight of it all has finally hit him. His hand still trembles slightly, but he tries to ignore it, focusing instead on the static hum of the room. Quiet, almost to himself. I've lost so much. My family, my mentor, trust. I came here looking for answers, and all I found were more questions. More threats. More darkness. He glances toward the desk, where a red mug sits, a small, comforting ritual he's kept up, despite everything. He picks it up, staring at the steaming coffee inside. The mug is empty, just like the feeling in his chest. Sighing, voice heavy. There's no turning back from this. I can't undo what's been done. I can't bring back those I've lost, or forget the things I've seen. But I can keep fighting. I will keep fighting. The camera pulls back, showing Fred in the booth, looking out into the empty station, the darkness beyond. The music continues, a soft, melancholy tune that seems to echo in the stillness of the night. Fred's reflection in the glass booth door is barely visible, like a ghost of the man he once was. Reflective, somber. I thought stopping the ritual would be enough. But monsters don't just vanish when you kill one. They evolve. They adapt. They wait. And I know that's what's coming next. Fred sets the mug down, standing up and walking toward the window. He looks out into the night, his thoughts a swirling mix of fear and resolve. The weight of his journey presses on him, but there's something else there too, a sense of unfinished business, of something still lurking in the shadows. Quietly, to himself. There's always something more. Always something lurking. And I'll be ready. Even if it means I lose everything in the process. He turns back toward the booth, his eyes focused. For a moment, his gaze lingers on the empty chair in front of the control board, an unspoken void where someone should be. He could have had a normal life, could have walked away from all of this. But there's no turning back. Not now. Determined, with a hint of exhaustion. I'm not done. Not yet. The sound of a phone ringing breaks the silence, sharp and sudden. Fred freezes. He knows that sound all too well. His eyes flick to the screen, where the caller ID reads, Station 7. His heart skips a beat, and for a moment, Fred simply stares at the phone. His gut tightens, the memories of the strange calls, the dead woman who didn't know she was dead, flooding back. The mystery of Station 7, the haunting calls, the feeling that the past is never truly gone. Fred hesitates for a long beat, staring at the phone, before picking it up. His voice is steady, but there's an undercurrent of something darker. Fred. Into the phone, voice calm. You're on air with Fred. What can I do for you? The phone line crackles for a moment. Then, a voice, soft, polite, and eerily familiar, comes through the speaker. Gentle, distant. I was wondering if you could play Just the Way You Are by Billy Joel. It was our wedding song. My husband and I's. Fred. Eyes closing for a brief moment, voice quiet, almost in disbelief. Mary. The line goes silent for a moment, and then Fred hears a soft, reassuring chuckle. Calm, almost nostalgic. You remember, don't you, Fred? It was our song. And I never got to hear it that night. But now, you can play it for me. Fred feels the room close in, the weight of everything crashing down on him. He grips the phone tightly, his knuckles turning white. The ghosts of the past, the calls, the rules, are never truly gone. And yet, despite the danger, despite everything, Fred still feels the need to keep going. To keep fighting. Resolute, but with a trace of fear. It's never really over, is it? He turns to the turntable, the vinyl spinning slowly, the music fading into the background. The flickering lights in the booth seem to flicker a little more, almost as if something is watching, waiting. Final thought, resigned but determined. But I'll keep playing. I'll keep the lights on. Because that's the only way to keep the silence from swallowing us all. The camera pulls back from Fred, his face illuminated by the flickering booth lights. The radio station is quiet, but there's something just beneath the surface, a sense of unresolved danger, a lingering threat in the air. Softly, finality in his voice. I'll keep the airwaves alive. No matter what comes. As the screen fades to black, the sound of static fills the air. The red on air sign flickers one last time before the screen cuts out entirely.